Okay, I'm going to cook tandoori chicken today, and that is a dish that's really close to my heart. It's a traditional North Indian dish from the Punjab region. It's really succulent and it's quite difficult to replicate because tandoori chicken would traditionally be cooked in a tandoori oven, which are round clay ovens that are built into the ground where you've got the heat source at the bottom, traditionally wood burning. And what would normally happen is you would marinate your chicken, usually a whole chicken, that's then skewered with long skewers and put into a tandoori oven. That flavour and that aromatic and that smokiness that you get from that dish is really very, very difficult to replicate, but I'm going to show you my version of doing that and some little hints and tips as to how to get that lovely flavour from tandoori chicken. So in terms of the dish, it's a two-stage marinating process, and I'm going to talk you through each of those two different marinations. But first of all, what we need to do is get our chicken prepped and ready. For tandoori chicken, traditionally you would use chicken that's on the bone, so I would either use a whole leg or I would use a whole chicken. What I'm doing today is I'm using some drumsticks and some thighs. Always take the skin off your chicken, and the quickest and easiest way to do that is just with a simple J-cloth, and all you need to do is just grab the chicken skin and just pull it away. Really quick and easy. The other thing that I would also do is just remove any of the excess fat that you've got sitting on that chicken. So I'm just going to remove the fatty bits. I don't really like them and I don't really want to eat them, so I'm just going to remove some of those bits. The next thing you need to do is you need to make sure that you score the meat, so you want to go right through to the bone, and what that will do is it will help the marinade infuse into the meat, so all of those lovely spices and flavours will see their way deep into that meat, so you'll get some lovely tasting bits of tandoori chicken. So what I tend to do is just go diagonal right through to the bone. Don't worry about it. There we go. And I tend to just do it on the one side. There we go. So the chicken's all ready to go. As I said earlier, it's a two-stage marinating process, and we're just going to marinate the chicken and rub that sort of initial marinade right into the slices through the chicken. Before I do that, I just need to prepare my second marinade. Now the second marinade is the yogurt-based marinade. So a tandoori chicken is a yogurt-based marinade. The yogurt that you would traditionally use is something called hung yogurt, and what that means is it's yogurt that's had all the liquid removed from it. Whenever you make a marinade, you need it to be as dry as possible. So if you ever wash your chicken, make sure that your chicken is dry. If you start to introduce lots of liquid or water to your marinade, you won't get the infusion of flavours and the infusion of spices that you're looking for. So what we're going to do is, we haven't got hung yogurt. What I have got is some Greek yogurt, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a quick cheat and a quick trick. So just get a plate with some kitchen roll on there and just dollop your yogurt on top of that and just sort of flatten it out a little bit, and what will happen is all that excess liquid, all that water will start to be pulled out of the yogurt, and you need to leave that for about 5 or 6 minutes, and I'll show you, you'll see that all the water starts to get drawn out of that, and then we can use that as our marination. Before we do that, we'll start on the first bit. So the first bit, we're going to use some lemon juice, so just slice into a lemon and just squeeze. Doesn't matter if you get your seeds in there, it's no big deal. So squeeze that in. There we go. Into that we're going to add a little bit of mustard oil, and then we're going to crush our ginger and our garlic. I've got some peeled garlic already here, and I'm just going to chop it up a little bit just to get it going. I'm going to pop that in there. I tend to use a fair amount of garlic in this marinade just because I think it needs it. Pop that in there. I've got some ginger here which I've grated, but I'm just going to plop that in as well. and my chilies, which I've chopped, but I'm going to pop those into. So I'm going to give that a bit of a bash. Okay, so you're just looking to crush them so that they look a bit mushed up. If you don't have a pestle and mortar, you can just chop up your ginger, your garlic and your chilies. You can put them into a blender and blitz them. Just anything to get as much surface area so that you can get as much of the flavour out of those bits. So I'm just going to scrape all of those bits into my bowl. And I'm going to pop a little bit of salt in here as well. I could put the salt in whilst I'm crushing it, but I'm just going to add it in now. Okay, so just so you know, lemon juice, oil, ginger, garlic, chilies, and a little bit of salt. And then we're just going to marinate those bits of chicken. And as with all of my recipes, it's all about getting your hands in and really trying to infuse lots of flavours into your dishes. So make sure you rub that initial marinade into all of those slits and those pieces of meat. Now ideally I would leave this for about 10-15 minutes or so, and that just gives you enough time to start doing your second marinade. There we go. So I'm just going to pop that to the side and just wash my hands. We're going to come back to our yoghurt that we've left on this tissue. Now I don't know if you can see, but all of the liquid has started to get drawn out and it just flops off, which means that all that liquid's come out and that's much thicker. So what we're going to do is use that as our yoghurt base. So this is the fun bit where you have to peel it off the tissue. Just throw that bit away. So there you've got essentially your hung yoghurt, and into that we're going to add Kashmiri chili powder. So this is chili powder from the Kashmir region, and tandoori chicken traditionally has that vibrant red colour. That colour should come from this chili powder. You need a fair amount of that chili powder just to get that lovely red colour. We've got some lovely garam masala here. Again, that lovely blend of about 9 different spices, all about warming and adding warmth to your dishes. We've got some fenugreek, which we're going to sprinkle in, and then I've got some cumin seeds, and I'm just going to give those a little bash in my pestle and mortar, and we're just going to pop those in as well. Great for that really musky aromatic that they give. Whenever I use my spices, I always tend to go for whole spices. I crush them as and when I need them, so cumin seeds, coriander seeds. And the reason that I do that is because the flavour and the aromatics that you get from whole spices far, far outweighs those of the ground powders that you can buy from supermarkets. So once you've got all of your ingredients in there, we're just going to give this marinade a mix through, and you'll start to see that beautiful, beautiful red colour come through. Traditional tandoori chicken is this 2-stage marinating process. When I'm in a hurry and I've come home from work and I want to have a quick tandoori chicken, I would generally just throw it all in a bowl together. But if you're cooking for friends and family, then it does, but you know, it does give a better flavour to do it in this way. So there you go, you've got your lovely marinade there. That's been sat in the bowl for about 10 minutes or so. What we're going to do is we're going to add the yoghurt-based marinade into that. So, as with all things, let's get our hands involved. Just scrape off all of those bits because we don't want to lose any of those flavours. Okay, and now again, it's all about pushing all of those flavours into that chicken. Now what I would normally do is I would leave this for an absolute minimum of an hour to marinade. And obviously the longer you give it, the better it will taste, because the more time it will have to infuse all of those flavours in. Ideally overnight, and you know, when I was growing up and when my mum was doing this, absolutely you'd just prepare a little bit and think about what you were going to cook. So the night before we would marinate it and leave it overnight. If you don't have that time, just leave it for, as you know, a minimum of an hour. And all you want to do is cling film that and then just pop it into the fridge. So my chicken's been marinating for about 2 hours now, so I'm really excited. I'm going to go and get it out, and here we go. Look, you can see that it's changed colour, it's got a lot deeper, and it's had time for all of those flavours to start absorbing and marinating into the meat. So what I'm going to do is just place that into a baking tray, just in a single layer. You don't want to sort of put them on top of each other. Put them nice and flat. And I'm going to use all of the marinade as well, and I'm just going to scoop that in as well. Now what we're going to do is pop that into the oven for about half an hour to 40 minutes on about 180 degrees C. There's no need to put any extra oil or anything in there because we've already got that in the marinade. So I'm just going to pop that in now, and we'll come back to it once it's ready. The kitchen smells lovely. It's full of all of those tandoori spices. So I'm just going to go and check the oven. I think the chicken's pretty much going to be ready. We're going to pull that out and have a little feast. That looks really good. You can tell it's cooked because all the meat's sort of falling away from the bone. So I'm just going to pile that up on here. It's got that beautiful, beautiful orangey red colour that tandoori chicken should have. Nice and dry, and you can see it's all coming away. It looks amazing. There we go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a little squeeze for some citrus, and then I'm just going to chop up some coriander. Tear it up actually, and I'm just going to sprinkle that on there. And then that is good to go. Tandoori chicken with some fresh coriander. One of my favourite dishes.